Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how to create a rally stage, or basically a road. And we're going to be needing the Blender 3.4.1 version because later on when we will export the track to the game, we're going to use an add-on, and this add-on right now is working best with this version of Blender. So I'm going to leave a link in the description for you to download this version in case you don't have it. And this is the add-on you're gonna need. It's called the Blender Track Exporter, the RBR Blender Exporter. You just need to click in code and download the zip. I'm gonna leave as well the link in the description. And now what you need to do is go over Edit, Preferences, and Install. Go over the folder you just downloaded it. You can also search here, Track. Here it is. You can click Install Add-on, and it will show right over here. You're gonna click this checkbox. In the drop down, we need to add a RBR export directory. So here I'm gonna choose the game location. It's over here, and you must click on the maps folder and click accept. Here is just a name. You can put whatever name. I'm just used to put RSF, that is the short for Rally Sim Fans. And here I'm gonna click it too because it is the Rally Sim Fans version that I have on my computer. While we are here on the add-ons tab, we can close here and search for typing image. For the import images as planes add-on, I'm gonna check this and click on save preferences. This is an add-on very handy that will save us a lot of time when we are modeling here. So we're gonna start the modeling by deleting everything and going to File, Import Images as Planes. So I'm gonna go to the folder that I have my textures on, and as you can see, they have this weird extension. If you don't know by now, some games use this extension. The way you create these textures is just open your regular texture on Photoshop, install a plugin to export and import DDS, and you can already save it like this. I will not show you how to create textures because it would be a much longer video, but I will though leave in the description some couple of links where you can download good textures. So I'm gonna click here on this tarmac road and import my image as planes. So as you can see here, if I go here to the material view, I get already my textures, and here on the material tab, the shader tab, I have already the material with the right name. So it saves a lot of times. If the texture were some other aspect ratio than not a perfect square, it will be already on the right scale. So first of all, you might be seeing a little bit of a blur when I move my screen around on the texture. Maybe not because of the YouTube compression, but if you are seeing, all you need to do to solve it is just go over here on the render properties and click here on this viewport denoise. You're gonna disable it and it should be much finer. Now I'm gonna go to the edit mode with the tab button. You can also switch between modes right over here. I just rather do everything with shortcuts. And one shortcut that I surely use the most when I'm doing roads is the Control R, that will add some loops on your model. So it's my favorite way of adding extra geometry to my meshes. So you can just press Ctrl R and get your cursor next to one of the edges and use the scroll wheel to adjust how many cuts will do to your mesh. So like this, but I will do press Ctrl Z, and I will actually just add one loop here on the corner of the tarmac texture and another one here. Then I'm gonna add one more right here on the edge and another one here. Now I'm gonna add a little more on the center, like two edges right here, and add a couple more on the other way. Oh, actually I'm gonna need to add two more here and add a little bit more, a lot more in this way. The reason what I'm trying to do here is leave here some close to perfect squares. It will be much nicer for you to work with and to also deform. The reason I got these two edges so close to each other is because I'm planning to do a little bit of a move here. So when the driver gets close to the border, it feels a little bit of a bump on the steering wheel, and I think it just feels better. So what I'm gonna do next is duplicate this mesh a couple of times in one direction, and then use a curve to deforming and get it to the path that I want the road to go. And keep in mind, this is just one of the ways of doing that. Is the way that I'm most comfortable with, and the way that I think you can give more detail in the texture of the ground. But keep in mind, it is just one way, just a way that you can get started with Blender, and later on you might just learn other ways to doing this. So I'm gonna get back to the object mode, and right under this button here, I'm gonna add a modifier and choose array modifier. So it's pretty straightforward. You just need to increase this count or decrease as you need to. We zoom out a little bit like this. And there's one very important thing you need to do, that is to check this box right here that says merge. What this we're gonna do is every time a mesh is repeated like this, it will have another set of the same meshes right over here on the edge, and it will merge the two of these together, the first and the last. Otherwise you get a bunch of separated meshes, and at some point it will not deform the way you want it to. So coming back here, I'm gonna now add a curve, and you can do that by pressing Shift plus A like I always do, or you can either go here on the edge and choose here mesh or curve. So Shift plus A, curve, and I'm gonna choose the Bezier curve. Something very interesting for you to do here in Blender is go, when you are editing curves, is go here on the overlay, viewport overlays, and select here this show the handles of the normals of the curve. This is very good, of course, because you can see now the direction the curve is going. So you can either transform it like a normal regular mesh with G, R, and S, and you can also extrude it with the E key. And what I'm gonna do next is click on my road mesh here, collapse this array, and add another modifier, this being the curve deform. And I'm gonna choose the single curve that I have on this file, or I can use this eyedropper to click here on the viewport. Now I have my mesh here, and I can also still play around with the count. But what I'm going to do actually is not have the road growing in this direction. I actually was thinking more about it growing in this direction, and it's very simple what I need to do. Just select here my Bezier curve, go to the edit mode, and select all the points with the A key, and here on the segments I can click in switch direction. Okay, now it's going on the direction I want, and basically all I have to do now is click in my Bezier curve and model it the way I need to. And what I'm gonna do is actually very simple. I'm gonna do something like a skid pad. Okay, I'm gonna add a little bit more, one more segment here, and I think this will do. Just increase here my count a little bit more. And just here I'm moving it because it has this little gap here, and it is not what I wanted it to be. I want it to be right over here. So what I need to do is move the track mesh on the axis that is being deformed here on the curve, né? If I click here on the modifier, you can see that is the x-axis. So if I press here the x, it will move along the stroke. But if you cannot visualize this well, you can just turn off the display here in viewport, and you can see it is aligned to the x-axis here on the word position, which by the way is the same of the local transform orientation. So you can also change that over here. So again, I'm gonna move it a little bit on the x-axis. I don't want to have too much overlap here on this cross path. Later on this video yet, we're gonna make this look much better. I'm gonna make some different materials. But first of all, we need to go over the shader of this and make a lot of tricks actually. So in Blender, we can just go over the corners of the viewport and like split in this direction or in this direction. And here we can change the type of viewport we want. For example, you can choose here the shader editor and start doing our modifications here and choose other kinds of viewports. But easier way is to use these workspaces up here, and I'm gonna click here on the shading that has everything just ready for us to use. And we just don't need these nodes that are here, so I'm gonna select them, press X to delete it. Everything went black, and that's fine. What we're gonna use is Shift A, or again, you could do this in Add, but I'm gonna use Shift A, and here on the last option, we got the RBR nodes. We're gonna need the shader, RBR shader, and RBR texture. So first of all, let's create the texture. I'm gonna click here new and just copy the name of the material and paste here. So you can have a name already. You can see here that it needs an UV, so we can just drag it here and look over this panel, but I rather press Shift A and search here for UV. It will be this first one, UV map. I'm gonna plug it here, and you have to click here and choose the UV you want. In case you need to see where are your UV maps, they're gonna be in this data object data properties here under the UV maps. So you can have 2, 3, as many UVs as you want, change the name of it, and you can also use different UVs in different textures on the same shader, and the game will read that just fine. So we already got our UV in the right plug, and you could just go over here and open your texture, but as I already had the imported with the import on the import textures as map, as plane, sorry, I can just click over this, and here Blender will show me everything he has inside his own memory, every texture. So I just have the tarmac grass. I'm gonna just click on it, and on the shader, I'm gonna click here on the diffuse texture one, and it has another options we're gonna use later on, but right now we just need to worry about the diffuse texture. I'm gonna plug here the color on the diffuse texture one, and the alpha as well as here. Of course, the texture doesn't have an alpha. We're gonna use textures with alpha later on, but it's nice just to have that plugged. Surface with surface, and displacement you don't have to plug. Everything's still black, okay? Here everything is set, but it is black here because we don't have an environment set. So you're gonna have to go here on the scene properties and look to the RBR track settings. We're gonna click here on plus and click here on the word and select this word right here. And now you can already see our texture is showing up. Just in case you are wondering, this word you can also go over the word tab here, and we already have these RBR track settings. This is basically everything that that you can change on the lighting of your track. Other thing you have to do, oh well, you don't have to do, but you will want to do, is go here over the edit material maps. You can see that right over here it opened the texture for you, and you can see here overview, fallback material, undefined. This is where you set the behavior of your textures. So I'm gonna now try to tell the add-on that this part here will behave like a tarmac, asphalt, and these other two parts here will behave like a grass or a rough ground. So here, back to the scene, we have here the RBR material map editor. And keep in mind, you will only see this, let me press ESC here. You will only see this once that you have your texture selected and click here on the edit material maps. Then it will show up. So first of all, I'm gonna select here the tarmac, is already in it. Tarmac, fine, clean, it's all good. And you can see back here, we get the tips that what you can do with your tool, your selected tool. Everything in Blender actually has this kind of helping guides. So first of all, I'm gonna set this fallback material, and I have the tarmac fine selected here. And right under here, again, I can see that there's some instructions for what I can do right now. So pan and zoom with the middle scroll. In F right here is set fallback, so I'm gonna press F, and right now this is the fallback tarmac clean dry. I can also click in edit and new, so I'm gonna click new with the right button right here. Create new map has shown up, and with the left mouse button I'm gonna draw here the area. You can have multiple areas, but for this texture it's fine, just one. I'm gonna click it and press the edit materials like it's shown here. So right now I get to paint the kind of material I want. I can see here the active material, tarmac, is the one selected here on the right. And hovered material is for you to see what material you already have here. So if I hover my cursor here, it will show the tarmac fine. So I will paint here everything that is tarmac. And I can right now switch here to ground and grass. I'm gonna click here on medium and dry. I could paint it as well, but if I see right over here, we get that T, pressing T, you can change the tool. So I'm right now on the paint tool. If I press T, now I have the bucket fill. It's much faster. And right now everything is set up. I can just press ESC a couple times and everything is good to go. The car will behave the way it is supposed to behave. We already got something that looks like a rally stage at least, and that is a good time to try to export, see if we are doing everything fine. But that's a few things that we need to do before exporting. One of them we already did, that is to create this material here, these track settings, and put the word over here. The other thing we need to do is to create a couple things, a couple objects that have some specific objectives. So I'm gonna, by holding down Shift and clicking with my right button, I'm gonna put my cursor over a place I like, and I'm gonna choose here, pressing Shift A, an empty and arrows. So this is just an empty with some axes showing up, and this we're gonna use to tell the RBR plugin where our car should spawn at the beginning of the stage. So where we choose the type of objects is here on the Object Properties tab, and here on the Object Settings, RBR Object Settings. We're gonna set this to be the car location, and the way this works is basically this is gonna be the mid of the car, the center of the car. The x-axis is going to be the rear axle of the car, and the front is going to be pointing straight to the y-axis. More or less something like this. So we know that the stage is way too small. So what we can do to fix that is just select everything, and press S to scale it up. We could just scale this up and then move to where we want our car to begin. But one easier way is to go here over the pivot point and choose the 3D cursor. And now if we press scale, it will just scale up from that point. Let me rotate this and I scale it up a little bit more. We can always make some future tricks. That's why it's important for you to always be exporting the stage and testing everything. It will be much safer and smarter to make this kind of adjustments early on. Another thing we must do is to set the object type of this ground here. So I'm gonna go again to the object settings and set here the geom blocks. This is basically what we use to objects that will be collidable in a sense. So I'm gonna choose here everything as it is and choose the generate collisions. So it will generate collisions and our car will have something to write on. Another thing we must do is, first of all, it doesn't have to do that, but I'm gonna name this car location, and I'm gonna create a collection here so that we can put all the game stuff. Okay. Game stuff, go over here. Just the stuff that the game needs for us to do. So I'm gonna add here unlight type of sun. I'm gonna choose here this sun type. The game will get the inclination of the light and everything. And I'm gonna need as well a drive line that will basically tell the computer, the game, where is the direction that the stage goes, and when the driver cuts too much of the corner, whether he's in the right direction or the wrong direction. So as we already have a curve here showing the path of the track, I'm gonna just duplicate it and send to our game stuff collection and call it drive line. And that I'm gonna go here on the object type and choose drive line. So first of all, it says the scale must be 1. A lot of types of objects in the RBR add-on, it has to be scale 1. So it's a quick fix. You just press Ctrl+A and here apply the scale. Everything's fine here. We click setup object, and here on the driveline settings, we're gonna need add a pace note. So pace notes are basically just the guidance the code driver will tell you to go to help you go through the stage. And here we get we have 4 of them that are kind of special on this list here. It is the event start, finish, split, and end of stage. We're gonna start here with the event start, and of course it will tell where the event starts. And I actually want the car to begin a little bit more in this location here, so I'm gonna shoot it once more, put it over here close to the car, and I'm gonna move the event a little bit further to the front. Otherwise, as soon as the car arrives here, spawns, it will already count as he was already beginning the stage. Here I'm gonna add another pace note, a split pace note, and basically we need 2 split events. They will just basically mark the 1/3 and 2/3 of the stage. I'm gonna put it right over here, add another one, split event, and put the other side here. It doesn't have to be precise, it just have to have 2 of them on the drive line. Next I'm gonna add end of stage. I'm gonna move it all the way to the end. You can see here as soon as it leaves the end of the curve, it will disappear. So we want them to be right in the end, not necessarily in the end of the object curve, but in the end of the where your stage finishes. But actually I need the stage to go a little bit further so we can go more than once around the stage. So I'm gonna shoot it over here and over here, and maybe end it like this. So I'm gonna slide this over to the end, okay, right over the center here. And I'm gonna add another one, the event finish, and I'm gonna slide it back a little bit. So basically it will start here, 2 splits, and when I arrive here at the event finish, the clock will stop. This is the finish of the event. You can already stop the car and put it in neutral, and the game will end. But you can still drive over to the event stage. If you cross this event of stage, end of stage, then the game will automatically end. So this is basically what we need to make the game run. To export this to the game, we have a little bit of a problem here. It is being like 3-dimensional, we don't need that. So I'm gonna select everything and scale it on the Z axis by pressing S and then Z. And I'm gonna press 0 afterwards, so it is like flat here. Now we're gonna go to the scene properties, and right here on the RBR export settings, I'm gonna choose that first name we choose when we are setting the folder, the game folder. Here the ID basically is the number of the stage in the list of stages it already has in the game. I know for sure that from the 700 beyond they are not being used, so I'm gonna type here 702 because I am using already the 701 for another stage. The track name, I'm gonna call it Speedpad, and the author would be me, Nereu. Okay, tarmac, country, doesn't really matter right now. And here at the end we got the export button. Let's try. Okay, so it appears here export completed. If you got some error at this point and followed everything I was doing till now, maybe you are with the wrong Blender version, okay? Remember, you need to have the 3.4 version on your computer. So here in the game, you can just go here on practice. Here on the stage, you already have the speed pad selected, but you can, instead of going down here to search the stage, you can just go up, and here on the end of the list, you get the test stages. It's basically everything you have on your computer that is not on the server, I guess. So I'm gonna select here the stage skip pad and start stage.
2, 1, go!
It's a little bit tight. Fix that. A little bit too short. And you can see that is this weird effect here. This is basically because we have two meshes overlapping each other, so the game doesn't know what to show us. So we're gonna fix that later on. But right now, let's go back to Blender so we can fix that scale and add a little bit of variation on these textures.